Okay, so I've been waiting a long time to do a real quick summary of some research that I've been working on. So I'll give an overview. And for those who want a little bit more detail, you can go to YouTube if you want some more detail after I'm done with this summary. I'm also going to post more videos real soon. So you can go to YouTube and you can pull up the video, Who is Ham, colon, prophecy, Jesus Christ prophecy of Africa. And I did that video in 2008. At the end of the video, I said that this Vihankra thing was prophetic, that it was connected to an Exodus, and I took a look at YouTube and saw a gentleman that I recently met on Facebook, Steve Shore. And what Steve is doing is he's trying to fundraise and bring people together to build in Ghana. Don't know what his spirituality is. It doesn't matter. There's some prophecies about this area that Steve is in. So if you go to YouTube, you can put in Vihankra and you're going to come across Steve interviewing Curtis Murphy. And then Steve has some other videos where he is just he's looking at the land, he's having discussions about some of the things that need to get done, but he's very proactive. He's trying to give the movement some movement, you know. But I spoke about this Vihankra thing back in 2008. So go to YouTube, put in Who is Ham, colon, Jesus Christ prophecy of Africa. All right, so let me give you a summary real quick. Jesus Christ is actually Yeshua. That's his real name. He is Ahaya in the flesh. God puts on a body, and this is just my opinion. I'm doing research. I'm a researcher, so I don't speak dogmatically about anything, but Ahaya put on a body. He messed with the money system, got himself killed. Then he took that blood and he sprinkled it on the earth. And he had Moses build a thing called the tabernacle. And in the design of the tabernacle, not the temple, the tabernacle. In the design of the tabernacle, God shows you where he places his blood. God owns the whole earth. He occupies every molecule of space, but he only reveals himself in chosen areas in an effort to consolidate people and resource. People have gifts and skills that need to work together, so he picks a spot, a starting point. And we all have to come to that starting point. I believe the starting point is this Vihankra that's in Ghana. And this is why. On the tabernacle design, you have the table with the 12 loaves. You realize that it's a location and a people, right? Then you have the 7 candlesticks. You realize it's a location and a people. You know the 7 candlesticks is a location and a people because he tells John, God tells John, to go to the 7 candlesticks or the 7 churches and tell them that I dwell there. Now, God is everywhere, so why would he say he dwells somewhere? What he's saying is, by default, what he's saying is, I'm everywhere, but I'm only manifesting in small areas to consolidate people and resource. You guys are battling sin. So I have to deal with you in this way. I got to pick a small area, or else you're going to spread out all over the earth, and all the gifts are going to be spread out all over the earth. So the tabernacle design shows you that God has assigned areas that are starting points. And after the flood, I realized there's 3 starting points. The original Eden, according to the hidden scriptures, which are the real scriptures, because Jesus Christ actually quoted from the hidden scriptures that we call Apocrypha. In the hidden scriptures, it tells you and it details for you the location of pre-flood Eden, country of India over to what we call Palestine is the general area. In the post-flood world, Eden moves around. Christ tells the woman at the well, I'm saying all this to talk about Fihankra. I'm saying all of this to talk about what Steve Shore is attempting to do, whether he knows it or not. To give a summary of the prophecy connected to this thing. This is not going to be a long video. After the flood, what we call Palestine is the first area. That's where Jerusalem was located in the days of Christ. Moses came out of Egypt. That's where he went. It was set up according to the 12 tribes, and God dwelled within those borders, doing the miracles within those borders. When Israel got carried away to Babylon, the miracles went with them. But God was always either working with the people when they were in the land or working with the people who belonged to the land, carried away into Babylon and into Assyria. But always with the people in connection to the land, because it is Eden. All right, so 12 tribes is a location, and the people, the candlesticks, the candlesticks with the 7 candles is a location and a people. That's what he tells John. John tell the people of the 7 churches that I dwell there. I'm everywhere, but I'm manifesting my full power in that one area, the 7 candlesticks, okay? Then there is the Altar of Incense, which is another location that comes in the end time. Now, you got to pay close attention to this part. After the flood, God tells Noah that I have one covenant with you and your sons that are with you. God tells Noah, I have one covenant with you and your sons that are with you. Some people think that God is only working with one people, but if you search the scripture, you see all of these scriptures where he says, because Jerusalem would not respond to him, he said, I'm going to choose for myself another people, another nation. The table with the 12 loaves is the Shemitic nation, the Shemitic lineage, which is Asiatic. The candlestick, the candle stand with the 7 candles, that's the sons of Japheth, what we call Europe and Russia. And then the altar of incense, the sons of Ham. Each lineage goes through a 400-year period of affliction. The Shemitic lineage, or the Asians, their 400 years only has within it 250 years of suffering. And then there's additional years that represent the end time, and what the other lineage, the last lineage, what we call Africa, or the sons of Ham, what we call Africa, what they're going to go through. Shem is just a shadow of what the Hamitic lineage is going to go through. And the Shemites actually have intermarry. They intermarry with the Hamites for 1,600 years. The Shemites, specifically from Abraham's lineage, they intermarry with the Hamites for 1600 years, creating this hybrid people, a Shemitic, Hamitic people who in the end time get carried away into ships and are used as slaves to build the strongest military power in the end time. They're carried into many different countries. But one specific group, still connected to the other ones, carried in the other countries like South America, Central America, Jamaica, Haiti, the Caribbeans, all through the Caribbeans, Europe. They're connected to them, but there's a specific group that goes into a land and they're afflicted, and that area in particular becomes the strongest military power, signified by a woman that stands over waters, having 7 diadems sprouting out of her crown, 7 horns, 7 protrusions, representing the 7 nations that extracted the sons of Ham, who we call Africans. Okay, you follow that? I know that's us. I know we're living in the strongest military power. I know the woman is the statue of slavery. Statue of liberty. It's actually a statue of slavery. It represents that whole event, gift from France. I'm summarizing. Okay. The table and the 12 loaves is the Shemitic lineage, what we call Asians. God dwells within the borders of those 12. He dwells within the borders of the 12. They have the same commission as Adam and Eve, to dress and keep that area, be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. That's the commission. They get introduced to another law so that they can realize that their bodies are out of control. And through the acknowledgement of the sin that's in their bodies, they develop a purity. And all of those extra laws outside of the laws introduced to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were introduced to a very small set of laws. Once we get kicked out of the garden, people have to realize they are under the curse of sin. They have to recognize the power of sin on them. Paul said, I have the will to do right. I find myself doing what's wrong. The good that I want to do, I don't do. And the bad that I don't, the wickedness that I don't want to do, I do. So now I know it is no longer I that do it, but the sin living in me. See, the Levitical and the Aaronic priesthoods were introduced, and the Levitical law was introduced so that you can give recognition to the sin and the fall of man, the fallenness of man. So all of those laws were given so that no matter which way you turn, you're realizing your body is battling against you. And once you acknowledge that, you move on and you get reintroduced to the original priesthood, which Adam was, the original priesthood, and the original set of laws. Eat freely from the trees of the garden. Dress and keep this area. Be fruitful and multiply. Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and subdue the earth. Those were the original laws. When you're inside the garden in an unfallen state. Okay. The table, 12 loaves, Asiatic people. God dwells in the middle. 7 candlesticks, the candlestick with the 7 candles. The country of Turkey. Japheth's lineage. God dwells in the middle of that setting. Altar of Incense, that's Africa. There's only one other lineage left. If God tells Noah that I have one covenant with you and your sons, the Asians, the Europeans, and the Africans. One covenant with all 3 of them. They all go through 400 years. The sons of Ham go through a complete full 400-year affliction that qualifies them to wrap this thing up. The sons of Shem, theirs was just a shadow or symbolic. They spent time in Egypt being afflicted by the Hamites, sons of what we call Africans. The Europeans, afflicted by philosophy, man's philosophy, which they battle against to this day. The Europeans, prior to Christ coming to them through Paul and Timothy, through John, in the seven candlestick area, the Europeans got baptized into what we call the philosophical period, 399 BC up until the time of Christ. That enslavement is so bad that in the building of America, they would listen to the philosophies of men and develop cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Listening to this Dr. Degree, I believe is how you pronounce it, Dr. Joy Degree. So I got a firm understanding of cognitive dissonance and how, through the philosophies of men, the Europeans that came here and settled in America, took the land, whatever you want to call it, got baptized into the philosophies of men and were able to do great atrocities to the Africans. All right. So the tabernacle represents the locations of Eden after the flood. Eden is now in Africa. It was in the area we call Palestine, the Middle East, in the area we call Palestine. It moved to the country of Turkey. And now it's along the west coast of Africa in the country of Ghana, which has the eagle's wings that are set in the same positioning as the Ark of the Covenant angels, who are a symbol of an end time event. Okay. Ark of the Covenant is an event. And just like you could find God dwelling within the borders of the 12 tribes, you could find God dwelling within the borders of the 7 churches. You're going to find God dwelling within the borders of all of Africa, because the altar of incense with the 4 horns, those 4 horns represent the 4 sons of Ham. Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. That's what the 4 horns represent. And the Holy of Holies represents a place within Africa, underneath eagle's wings, a little piece of land. Christ said it's called the Day of Atonement. When you research Yehonker, you're going to realize that the land was given in a process called atonement. Okay? The land was given in 1997 AB. I call it AB instead of AD, after the birth of Christ. Estimated. With the adjustment of the calendar, they made a mistake in their estimation of the birth of Christ. Birth of Christ is actually 3 BC, not 0 BC, or not 0 AB. So he said, in 2 days, I'll raise up the temple. He was talking about how the tabernacle and the temple work together to show you where Eden is, to show you where his location is. Again, God is everywhere, but he has a starting point, just like he did with Adam and Eve. God was everywhere in the universe, but it says he would come down in the cool of the evening and walk with Adam and Eve. In 1997, Ghana gave a land to the diasporans, and Ghana and Nigeria initiated this process for this land. And a contract was signed in 1997. So when Christ said that in 2 days he's going to raise up the temple, the tabernacle was automatically connected to that. He was talking about a piece of land. And the beginning is the ending. In the beginning, when darkness hovered above the waters, God said, let there be light, let dry land appear. The beginning is the ending. So the ending is going to be signified by the appearing of a land that is going to be dedicated to equality and to family. And it's going to crush the money system. If you know scripture, it says that they shall throw their money into the streets. The book of Acts shows you how to do it. People were in the money system, and in the book of Acts, they brought everything and set it on the table and divided it up evenly amongst everybody. That's what this land is going to do. It's going to destroy the money system. And if you read Ezekiel chapter 36, starting at verse 24 and going to verse 38, you're going to see what's going to happen in this land. There's going to be a supernatural occurrence. Money system is going to be destroyed. Herein lies a secret, we shall not all sleep. That's going to be accomplished in this place. So go on YouTube and just take a look at these videos that Steve Shore is posting. Go on YouTube and take a look at Who is Ham? Prophecies, Jesus Christ prophecies of Africa. Take a look at it. I've been talking about this. I'm in Detroit right now with the lady that was a part of the original foundation of Fiancra, setting it up. She got ripped off. She got betrayed. I know the whole story. I'm with her. I'm with another guy who was one of the originals. And then there's a third guy who I haven't met yet, but he's in the circle. I just haven't met him. I'm up in Detroit right now. So anyway, that's my summary. This Fiancra is a supernatural occurrence. A people brought over on ships, enslaved, used to build the strongest military power. That country signified by a woman sitting over waters, having 7 diadems on her head. Go read the book of Revelations. Google it. Google it. That's my summary for now. We'll talk. God bless.